That's... I can't use that, man.
Well,
You
you're
think
gonna
I
have
want
to.
to... I, I can't just lie to the internet about something like that.
I'm keeping this in the recording. You can't hear me right now. Um, but yeah, that's what I'll do, and you can't stop me.
Hello everybody. Where are
So at the end of the last video, we got wrecked.
we? Right.
So that's obviously not the point of progression, at least as of right now.
Because we were trying to go to the Sky Castle or something, whatever.
Yes.
What
But we're supposed to come back here to the Red City.
what is its is it called like the Sky Castle or
I think it's called the Sky Castle. Yeah,
something like that at least?
makes sense. So stuff's going down with the lizards because like once they caught wind of things not looking so good for the humans, they're like, hey, maybe it's a good opportunity for us to take control now. So just more thumbs in the pie.
And of course all these soldiers are not they're not interested in fighting us now at least.
No, they're like, it's human, whatever. Just as long as you don't have scales, then we're not gonna attack you.
Don't get in the way.
Exactly.
So how did
It
we
appeared to be, yeah.
how did we know we were supposed to come back here?
Maybe I tried stopping off at multiple locations, and then it seemed this is out of process of elimination. This seems the way to go.
Oh boy, this guy's got some actual armor.
Yeah, who'd have thunk that the lizard race wasn't just a bunch of bandits?
Huh.
Yes, they have an army of their own.
Well, that's unfortunate.
I think there are at least maybe like 5 different military forces in this not so big country. It's more like a province.
I mean, I guess if you have a whole bunch of different societies, you'd kind of expect that they would have their own, forces and everything like that.
To say so.
I mean, it's kind of weird that, like, they're always, like in Final Fantasy games, there are always all these little, like, tiny towns just way off in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, how would they be sustaining their town in any way?
They're just offshoot JRPG villages. I mean, half of them burned down anyway. Right, they ain't gonna last long.
I mean, obviously, you're that's where you're supposed to kind of use your suspension of disbelief and everything, but
yeah. Well, you need some place to heal up and buy stuff from an item shop,
right? Buy all your new equipment and magic, if it's one of those games where you have to like buy magic, stuff like that.
One of those games.
Can't learn skills naturally as your character levels up. No, you have to purchase them.
Yeah, and somehow you're able to purchase spells that you can't even use.
Yeah. It's always weird to me when games let you pick up the like upgraded form of an ability or a spell, like way long before your character. It's like buying a high-end sword when your character's like level 8. It's
I think level requirements are the absolute worst. It's like, how come it's like never explained. It's like, oh, why is this helmet, required I'm level 20 and above? Why?
Yeah, I feel like the Dark Souls kind of item requirements are a decent way of doing it.
Yeah, like I can at least use them, just not very well.
I understand that it's not really a realistic kind of system for a lot of games, but with Dark Souls, it's like it's not explicitly a level requirement. It's just that you have to have like your strength or dexterity or whatever to a certain level before you can actually like try to use that weapon.
And at least for strength requirements, if you two-hand a weapon, then the requirement is halved. It's like, oh, it's a pretty clever system. I like that.
Yeah, and for like when you're using big weapons like swords and axes and hammers, like it makes sense, your character would not be proficient with that weapon without a certain kind of level of physical ability.
Yeah. And if you're a magic user, which, in a Dark Souls game, why would you? But still, if you were, then of course you wouldn't have the strength or dexterity to wield certain weapons.
Yeah. That's, like, I don't mind the kind of D&D style approach to it either, where you have, like, proficiencies that you level up as you get, like, your feats or whatever. I feel that's kind of equivalent. It's like, it's not really explicitly restricting you based on level, but it's restricting you based on your character's actual, like, proficiency, knowledge, physical ability, whatever.
I think this mainly boils down to, why is the game giving me stuff I can't use?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's even worse when there's a strict class-based like character system where you're given items that you can't wield ever. It's like, why even give me this stuff?
Fortunately,
might as well just sell it.
Fortunately, it does. Most of the games that I've played do seem to be able to work around that a little bit, because like.
Yeah, I think by now some developers like are aware that things like this can be a bit irritating.
It was a huge problem in Diablo 3 when it originally released, because the itemization in that game was just really bad. So you'd get equipment on your wizard that had stats designed for barbarians and vice versa.
I think that was to encourage the item trading thing they had.
Well, it didn't work that way though, because like they still had items that were restricted to classes, and those class restricted items would have the wrong stats on them.
Oh, okay.
Like that was
That's a lot worse than I thought.
Yeah, that was the major. Like there were barbarian belts and stuff that would have like intellect on them, when that's not a stat that barbarians ever need to use in Diablo 3.
How was that fixed?
Well, they just completely overhauled the item system in the entire game. Like,
so what happened to the items that players already had?
They literally just redid all of the items. Like every single item prefix was redone so that the stats were altered to be useful stats instead. So like, and that it changed like pre-existing items as well.
Okay.
And
that makes you think, it's like, well, why wasn't this fixed before you released the game?
They didn't. Well, I mean, that speaks to the business side of things. But
it's like such an obvious thing.
They didn't care because they had the real money auction house.
I wonder if that made them money.
But yeah, after they fixed that, all of the items actually had stats that were relevant to the class you were playing as, and they significantly reduced the number of non-class items that you would like. of wrong class items, I guess I should say. So like if you were playing a wizard, you would primarily get wizard items rather than getting a whole ton of like monk and barbarian drops instead, which was also something that frequently happened prior to them overhauling the item system. Anyway, this looks like we're going to be running into a cutscene.
We're plot development.
So we have all of the big players down here.
Yeah, Evelyn, her two lieutenants.
Looks kind of like a sage is hiding at the bottom there too, maybe.
I'm trying to prep as much as possible because I don't know if it's another boss fight at this point.
If you're trying to prep, you might want to heal.
Maybe I will.
Just saying. Might be a good idea to use some of these potions. There you go.
There we go. Yeah.
Alright. What's going on here? Oh, it's one of the...
No, it wasn't a sage. It's one of the leaders of the Sare army. Right
Yeah.
here.
He's just got big horn antler things.
Yeah, you gotta make leaders of factions distinct. Whether
course.
it be adding stuff on or taking stuff off, you know, something as simple as, well, where they're not wearing a helmet, so they must be important.
He's got big horns. Looks... I mean, it does look like tree branches with little, like, leaves on them.
Maybe it is. I don't know. Anyway, we just showed up and they're like, hey, they look kind of human. Also a bird person. They're not a lizard, man.
They're
Attack
enemies.
them
Get
as well.
them.
They're not lizards.
How dare you come into this completely peaceful protest?
Yeah, we just showed up. We didn't even do anything, and they started attacking us. That's more of a justification to defeat them. We can't talk out of this. They attacked first.
I will say, I do very much appreciate RPGs that let you just talk your way through things these days.
There was a CRPG, you know, one of the old school ones, you know, before my time, that, I'm not sure which one it was, but you don't get XP for, like, defeating enemies, but for completing quests.
Yeah.
And no matter how you complete the quest, then you get the same amount of XP, which I like.
Yeah, there are a couple games that have at least tried to do stuff like that.
I just like where there are clearly optimal ways to progress, because you get more XP in certain ways.
The leader ran away, huh?
Yeah, he ain't so tough. Also, Herpsichord got injured.
What an old fool. We have to... I mean, we have to do something.
we keep inadvertently helping these guys. This keeps happening.
Aren't we supposed to... Yeah, we're supposed to be stopping them from reaching the throne.
I know, but it's like, if we like completely eliminate one faction, then all that really does is help the others. It works either way. Like, we're in a standstill here.
So this means that, like, by the end of the game, we're going to have to have killed all the sages and Evelyn.
Well, there are other threats, you know. Well, except the Arrox. You know, they seem fine. But as of right now, we're diverting our attentions to the Sare. And Herpsichord is out of commission right now.
So Evelyn wants to do what our quote-unquote father was trying to do as well, I guess.
Whatever it is, the other factions don't want that to happen. Oh, look.
Our
Flashback.
it's our helmet thing.
Young Arra. Oh, we're gonna inherit the castle. What's the other glowing halo for?
Hang on a second. Has Arra spoken in, like, outside of these flashbacks?
No, actually.
Cause she,
In fact, like, near the start of the game when, I think...
yeah.
I think Avalon asks, hey, where do you want to go? Arra points to the Sky Castle.
Yeah.
So, it appears, after her somewhat amnesia, she also became mute.
So how did they figure out her name was Arra?
I don't know. Maybe has a name tag. Oh, maybe it's a Zelda thing where it's like, no, she's actually speaking, but we just don't hear her do it.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, Harpsichord here knew our quote-unquote father, but
yeah, it's kind of difficult to like characterize or voiceless protagonists because it's like you can't really get a grasp of their personality unless there's heavy use of like gesturing. And I don't think this game has that capability of doing that. So it's like Arrow's it's a bit of a blank slate. But she clearly had a personality, at least in the past. So it's a bit weird.
Doom 2016, this is not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good example of voiceless protagonist that you can get a sense of his personality just by doing stuff. Other than, well, they're just progressing the plot.
Well, the main character's kind of interactions during the cutscenes give him a personality in Doom as well. Like, even though he's voiceless. I mean, we're not on Evelyn's side.
No, but Evelyn likes to think that we are.
This is for the best. Of course, you always think it's for the best.
For the greater good.
Yeah.
Even if it's to commit genocide, it's still for the greater good.
That's what they always tell themselves.
Of course not.
And there she goes. Look at that guy in the bottom there. Just going, oh!
So, I believe at this point in the story, the sages aren't really much of a threat now.
I mean, there's still, what, like 2 of them? Aren't
there? We still have to meet one of them. But...
I thought there were 4 total.
No, it's just 3.
Oh.
And so... Evelyn has gained the trust of the people. Because it seemed like she was the one who got rid of the sages, even though we did the work.
Hooray for Evelyn! Yeah, that doesn't bode well for us, I would say.
I guess not.
Although I guess if it stops the red soldiers from fighting us, maybe that's good?
Yeah. We don't want to get on our bad side.
So now we need to... Are we gonna try and head Evelyn off, or...
Well, we're going up against the Sarah now, because in honesty, like they do appear to be a bigger threat than the Red Army.
So we're still unintentionally helping.
Yes, exactly.
This doesn't seem like a good idea to me.
We're always going through the best case scenario here.
Hmm.
Because if we get rid of the Evelyn Red Army now, then we have no chance against the Sarah.
Is that true though? I think we're strong enough to take them.
You'll see what the Sarah are capable of.
I still kind of feel like, given the nature of RPGs, we're strong enough to take them by ourselves.
Well, yeah, of course. If I like reach level 99 and all my party members, of course we're strong enough to take on anything. But levels aren't really ever a narrative thing in anything.
They should be.
Yeah, I think they should be as well. I don't think a game has ever, like had like maybe common enemies react to how obviously stupid powerful the player characters are. There's been a few, but I don't think anything like explicit.
There's some minor kind of interactions in that way, depending on like sometimes in like certain I know there are a couple games that do, like a couple RPGs that do it, but I can't think of a specific example at the moment. But like there are like one or two where if you're a high enough level over enemies in whatever area you're in, they'll just like run away from you.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And then
I haven't played any that do that.
And then of course you also have like you have the grunts in the Halo games who are very obviously cowardly and are super easy to demoralize and get to just like run around in circles and not even bother with trying to attack you anymore.
Yeah. That just shows how good the AI in Halo is as well.
It's definitely not a very widespread sort of thing though. Which is kind of unfortunate.
I'm sure narrative teams would want to do that. I think it's more of a case of programming that to happen would be difficult.
Yeah.
It's possible, but something as kind of not super important is like maybe not on like the priority list.
It'll probably get more widespread in the coming years as video game narratives and mechanics get more complicated.
I'm not sure about that because it's like that sort of thing could have happened like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it depends, though.
And well, the case is different for indies, but definitely in AAA developers, the increasing budget and improving technology is barely being put into gameplay mechanics and is more prettying up how it looks.
Even
so
then, like
I don't have my hopes up for like, oh well, as technology improves, we're gonna get better game mechanics. Like that if it hasn't happened now, which I don't think it.
Well,
we haven't had really a big breakthrough in a while.
It slowly has been though, like. Because games, well, depending on what decade you're looking at least, because in the past decade, like from 2008 until today, games are significantly, generally, more complicated than games from like 1998 to 2008.
Oh yeah, of course.
There are certain games that were more complicated back in the day, specifically. Generally like PC specific games, but on the whole games are more complicated now than they were 20 years ago.
Well, if you like simplify it, like if you look at console generations, the jump between the previous one and this one we have now hasn't really been much.
Well, no, and it never was going to be. Like that's why the PS3 and the Xbox 360 lasted for so long. Like it was never going to be a huge jump from the PS3 to the PS4. And honestly, the people who thought that it was were severely overestimating things.
I think it's more of like the general market aren't really looking for that sort of stuff. Also, we found an obviously important NPC here because he looks different from the rest.
He's just laughing at us, huh?
And we're not being so trusting.
Our 3-man army.
Well, 4-man. Nuo is currently lodged into us.
Yeah, but he doesn't help in combat, so he doesn't count.
Yeah. We need him for his airship. So we found a Sarah that doesn't appear to be like the rest.
So there's
You know where that's
more.
going.
There's more than one faction of Sarah.
Yeah. So like previously in another episode, I mentioned it's nice when you get surprised, like you got like a certain fantasy race and then it looks like every single member of that race is like this. And it's nice to see like, oh wait, no, there's a lot more to them. There's a lot different kinds of them with different values and agendas. So that's what we're getting here. First they were like, oh no, they're just bandits, and then they're like, oh no, we can amass armies, and those bandits were really nothing, and now we're getting factions of the army as well.
The heck are these things?
I don't know, desert raccoons
called Fawaros. They look interesting, that's for sure.
There's a lot of just designs in this game with horns or antlers.
Yeah. Yeah. Seems to be the recurring evolutionary theme in this game world or something. And also a signifier of power. Given the way that all the white sages and the Sarah leader there both had them. And the the Aerocs with their elaborate halos and stuff.
Yeah, a very clear visual motif.
Although these guys have very elaborate antlers for being small desert mammal enemies.
You'll never know. They're a different race, so they might be like high ranking in their like little pack.
Hello. Goodbye.
I thought that was the way to progression, so I walked away. And we see a red banner, so
yeah, there must be
that destroyed airship. There must be some Red Army people here.
Hello.
So at the moment, this is a battlefield right now, and we have a guy shooting a barrel, and we're gonna take a shot at trying to defeat this barrel. How exciting!
Is this a very... Oh, okay.
How exciting! We defeated a barrel.
I thought it was going to be resilient.
Nope, it's just a barrel.